Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 21st, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. It's been another cold one. We're actually currently sitting in the single digits as I'm recording this. Ugh, I hate that for me. But overall, yes, today has been a good day. Work was back to normal. Pretty even keeled pace. We had some work. Wasn't too swamped though, so that was good. Gym went well. Oh, I got a burp. Excuse me. I will say I decided to treat myself and I finished off the rest of my big brownie. So that was a little bit of a cheat for me. But, these things happen and it was yummy. Let's see here. What else do I really want to report in? Oh, yeah, let's talk about food. More food, I should say. My food corner was the Mexican beef and rice bowl. Pretty classic, pretty staple. All the usual accoutrement. So yeah, it was yummy. It was good. It was a good day for me. So we can go ahead and get into the startup, and we can go ahead and get into the news. Hopefully that sounds good to ya. Also, I hope you guys are staying warm wherever you are. Hopefully you're comfy, cozy, listening to this right now. Alrighty. From the Associated Press. At least 76 people killed in a hotel fire at a ski resort in Turkey. A fire raged through a 12-story hotel at a popular ski resort in northwestern Turkey early Tuesday during a school holiday, killing at least 76 people, at least two of them when they jumped from the building to escape the flames, officials said. At least 51 people were injured in the fire at the Grand Kartal Hotel in Kartalkaya in Bolu Province's Koroglu Mountains, some 300 kilometers or 185 miles east of Istanbul, said Interior Minister Ali Yerlikaya. The fire occurred near the start of a 2-week winter break for schools when hotels in the region are packed. Let's see. It's alleged or it's thought that the cause, well, we don't know exactly like what the cause of the fire is. That's still being investigated. But like why this did so much damage, like why so many people lost their lives. At least like early indicators are saying that like victims, people who went through this are like, hey, we woke up to the fire, smelled it before we even heard alarms. So that indicates that the fire alarms weren't working properly. Now, there have been inspections done, but that's, they're saying, hey, we didn't, have any report that there was any kind of damaging of the fire alarms. Actually, I can go ahead and get there. Tourism Minister Mehmet Nuri Ersoy told reporters that the hotel underwent inspections in 2021 and 2024 and that no negative situation regarding fire competence was reported by the fire department. So I imagine there will probably be more details and investigation reports in the future. If I hear anything, I will definitely come back to this. Come back to this story. But definitely, my condolences goes out to the people who are going through this right now. It's obviously really sad. I know we covered the ski lift incident. Was it a couple days ago? So it's sad happening here. I mean, obviously not related or connected in any kind of way, but still. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next story. Got the wrong thing pulled up. From the BBC. Here we go. 9 Palestinians killed as Israeli forces launch major operation in Jenin. 9 Palestinians have been killed and 35 injured by Israeli forces during a major operation in Jenin in the occupied West Bank, the Palestinian Health Ministry says. The Palestinian media reported that there were a series of airstrikes as a large number of troops moved into the city and its refugee camp, backed by drones, helicopters, and mounted bulldozers. Israel's prime minister said it launched an extensive and significant operation to defeat terrorism in Jenin, long seen as a stronghold of Palestinian armed groups. It comes 3 days after the start of a ceasefire in Gaza and highlights the threat of more violence in the West Bank, where suspected Israeli settlers also went on a rampage overnight. So one of the things that Trump has done in like the first, 48 hours was he's lifted sanctions that Biden had on Israeli settlers. And essentially they're saying, okay, well, cool, we'll ramp up. We'll go ahead and do that. And with that comes literally these settlers, which you can also mark as extremists. I kind of like that they oscillate through both in this article, but they are supported by the IDF. They're supported by literal soldiers. So, like, what are you supposed to do as a Palestinian in the West Bank when these people come and they are harassing you and they have guns, they have weapons, and as mentioned, even if you do anything, then you potentially get, thrown in jail, like you're fighting with both hands tied behind your back in this situation, and it's literally your land. But according to them, it's like, no, it's not. So we kind of have every right to harass you. And more or less, that is supported by the U.S., and other Western countries, at least, to certain effects. So yeah, I mean, and this isn't a new practice. This isn't something that has, been going on since, October 7th, 2023. This has been going on long before that. And it's seemingly only getting worse, which is crazy because we literally just had a ceasefire. So, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I've been talking about and worrying about, that you're just going to see more of this aggression actually out of Israel as they, I think Netanyahu uses the words of like saying, hey, we need to like secure like and set up like an iron wall, as if like you're making some kind of defense of some sort. I don't know. But I mean, I think it's fucking bullshit what they're doing. I think it's bullshit what they're on about. And it's, sad that this shit's just going to continue from one president to another. And it doesn't matter that the ideology has supposedly changed or whatever, because no, it really hasn't. Everything is the same here. So yeah, it's definitely frustrating to see this and, have to cover this kind of shit. But I know that we're just going to have to keep doing it and, not look away from it. Trying to see what else did I want to pull here. I think I scrolled. Let's go ahead and just move on to our next story from CNN. Former Georgia prosecutor faces trial for allegedly obstructing Ahmaud Arbery's killing investigation. Here's what we know. So this story was a bit of a blast from the past. I hadn't realized that the killing of Ahmaud Arbery literally was, 4 years ago. It will be officially 4 years ago. Or no, 5 years. Jesus. 5 fucking years since this shit, happened, I believe in February. But we are, finally kind of back to the Georgia's district attorney. Essentially, the prosecutors had dragged the case. For months, they didn't want to pick it up. But let's go ahead and read about it. One-time Georgia prosecutor accused of impeding the investigation into Ahmaud Arbery's killers is set to stand trial more than 4 years after the black 25-year-old's death, which fueled nationwide protests over racial injustice. Jury selection is scheduled to begin Tuesday in the trial of former Brunswick District Attorney Jackie Johnson, who faces charges of violating her oath and obstruction stemming from her alleged actions in the weeks after Arbery's death in February 2020. 3 white men were ultimately found guilty on state murder and federal hate crime charges. One of these men, Gregory McMichael, had previously worked as an investigator in Johnson's office, and prosecutors have said he asked her for help when his son shot Aubrey after they chased him through their neighborhood. And by asked him for help, I mean like that was like one of the first calls he made was to this district attorney. So he hits up this DA and leaves a message, and that's how we know. But they have a back and forth correspondent for weeks, at least 16 calls, I believe. So it's like, and this is an attorney that goes, hey, I wasn't really privy to any of this stuff, for real. And once I knew what was going on, I immediately recused myself. So I did everything right. I did nothing wrong. But clearly there's seemingly some suspicion there. So that's why we are where we are. But it's crazy that it's taken so long to get here. But I do, I guess I'm going to keep scrolling, keep reading. While Johnson recused herself from the case, the Georgia Attorney General's office has alleged she failed to handle the case fairly and interfered with investigators, preventing the arrest of McMichael's son, Travis. Attorneys for Johnson declined to comment, citing the demands of the trial. Johnson has in the past denied wrongdoing. At a pre-trial hearing in December, her attorney said Johnson was focused on securing an unrelated indictment and didn't know what was going on with the Ahmaud Arbery case. No one was arrested until 2 months after Arbery was killed, when a video of the shooting emerged. Arbery's killing, along with those of George Floyd in Minneapolis and Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky, was a focal point of the protests that roiled the country in the summer of 2020. Let's see here. Now, I do want to run this back just so, we're kind of reminded of what took place, what happened with Ahmaud Arbery. Arbery was shot dead February 23rd, 2020, after he had gone out for a jog. When they saw Arbery in the neighborhood, the McMichaels, who told police they suspected Arbery in the purported string of burglaries, grabbed guns and pursued him in a pickup truck. Arbery was not accused of committing a crime. The third man, William Rhodey Bryan, also joined the pursuit and recorded the shooting on his cell phone. When that footage surfaced May 5th, 2020, it showed Travis McMichael fatally shooting Arbery after a physical confrontation in which they grappled over McMichael's shotgun. The McMichaels were arrested 2 days after the video surfaced. Bryan's arrest came 2 weeks later. So it's crazy that it dragged for that long. Like, this brutal act happened, and it was more or less chalked up to, like, what? Oops-a-daisy? It was a bit of an accident or something. And then, no, once everyone saw a video, there was immediate pressure to do something. And then it's like, hey, now, these guys have now, they've been put away for a long time. I guess we can just run through the sentences here. The 3 men were sentenced to life in prison on state charges. They were later found guilty of federal hate crime charges. The McMichaels received life sentences, and Bryan was sentenced to 35 years. So, like I said, they highlight the 16 calls with the suspect between Johnson and McMichaels, or the McMichaels. I think it's despicable. Like, I get it, this is a person but at the end of the day, that means someone who committed a murder. They hunted down a man and essentially shot him. They executed him. He struggled for the gun. Why is this man being put in this situation just because you thought he stole? At the end of the day, you call law enforcement, you call 911, and you let them handle it. To say, no, we're going to take justice into our own hands is crazy. And I remember that. I remember how it felt seeing this story, talking about this story. And then, time passes and we have the one guy who was driving the FedEx truck, the delivery driver, who gets fucking shot at. We had a slew of stories that were kind of similar to that over time in one way, shape, or form. But definitely the avid caveat of just being hey, this is a racial thing is always going to be something that draws my attention, because it's I feel like it's just very fucking relatable. It's a fear that we all have, and you see it realized in these moments. And I was glad that justice was served here. But, mentioning the FedEx driver, you notice that, like, well, he's alive, everything's fine. I feel like that really is the sentiment here. And it's like, okay, we can all just move on from this. And it's like, no, man, this is fucked up shit. It's like, these are very similar, very parallel stories to me. And it's crazy that the law goes out of its way. Even you see it here, though, where you have literally the district attorney saying, I don't want to touch this story. I don't want to touch this case. I don't want to handle it because my homie's involved. It's one of our former own. So, I think it's important to come back to this story now that there is an update with Johnson, going on trial. So we will definitely try to stay abreast of that. And I think where I land on that, where I would like to see, what I would like to see. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to our last story. We got to talk about Trump again. I don't like it, but that's just the way it is. Let's go ahead and take our last break, and we will go ahead and close it out. All right. From ABC News. 22 states challenge Trump's executive order cutting birthright citizenship. President Donald Trump's bid to cut off birthright citizenship is a flagrantly unlawful attempt to strip hundreds of thousands American-born children of their citizenship based on their parentage. Forgive me. Attorneys for 18 states, the city of San Francisco, and the District of Columbia said Tuesday in a lawsuit challenging the president's executive order signed just hours after he was sworn in Monday. The lawsuit, filed by 18 Democratic attorneys general, I always hate having to say the plural, accuses Trump of seeking to eliminate a well-established and long-standing constitutional principle by executive fiat. The president has no authority to rewrite or nullify a constitutional amendment or duly enacted statute, nor is he empowered by any other source of law to limit who receives United States citizenship at birth, the lawsuit says. 4 additional states filed a similar suit later in the day, asking a federal court to keep the executive order from being implemented or enforced, bringing the total states to 22. Trump's order directed federal agencies starting next month to stop issuing citizenship documents to U.S.-born children of undocumented mothers or mothers in the country on temporary visas if the father is not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident. This is crazy to me. I think it's crazy to pretty much anyone who reads it on its face, unless you just want to blatantly just be just like a xenophobic racist or some fucking shit. Like, I cannot grasp how you go, hey, yeah, like it's your American right. Like, you're born here on this land. You are, born free. You are born an American citizen. Trump has floated this idea and is now trying to implement it now, by, executive order. And, it's crazy. And I'm sorry if this is one of those things where you're like, no, I think this is okay. At the end of the day, the parents aren't from, like, just stop. Just fucking stop. Also, it's something that I just grasped. I just kind of grasped just like thinking about it. This is going to have ramifications if it actually works the way Trump wants, because it's not just going to affect the illegal immigrants that he doesn't, want to see here, or, that the people who voted for him were cheering him on for. At the end of the day, this is going to affect people who have, like they said, temporary visas, people who are just here, and it's like, oh, I'm happy to have my baby. And it's like, you're not getting dual citizenship, or you're not getting any citizenship here. No. It's crazy, but that's how it works in any other normal fucking, country. It's wild. It's insane to me. But yeah, I mean, he's gonna try it. He is shooting all the shots he can. I mean, it makes sense for his second term that he is going to go for broke here, because why not? And I think he knows that this is like, hey, I know this is kind of crazy. I know this is very wild for me to try, but why not? It makes what I'm trying to do easier. So why not? So yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope that this is not. I hope his executive order is not successful. I hope the lawsuit goes through, especially with the emergency injunction to stop the implementation. But we'll see. Because this is literally a warping of the law. Not even just bending is not enough of a word here. This is the kind of interpretation that only the Supreme Court can make, and it's like, sure, if you run it up to them and they agree with you, then okay, you have that, I guess, in the situation. And sadly, it's possible. Also, it's sadly possible that he could potentially get this shit, run through Congress from that to the House and the Senate. You know what I mean? Like, he probably has the numbers. It's the scary fucking reality, like the reality here. Unless you have some moderate guys who are like, no, actually, like, can we just can we just use reason here? Because it's in the Constitution. So maybe we should just not alter it like that. But hey, it's rough to me, man. But yeah, that's where we are in 2025, and sadly, that's where I guess I'll leave it for today, depending on when you're listening to this. But yeah, if you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/IsaiahNews. Become a newsie today. 3 ways to hit me up, isaiahnews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. And please subscribe to the YouTube. That's helpful. Leave a like, leave a cool comment, and sharing is caring. Also, shout out to anyone who leaves the reviews on the Spotify. I noticed I got like another one recently. Thank you. The 5 stars are always very nice. And just do 5 stars. It's cool. Hey, I know some people didn't get the memo. Maybe they just didn't want to do it. They kept it 100, but I want to keep it 500, 5 stars. Well, I don't know, 5 booms, if you will. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.